This is not my favorite. I will be honest with you. Matter of fact, hang tight. I'm going to get you the card that prompted this video, and I'm going to tell you why it's not my favorite thing. And I'm going to tell you all the ways so that you can make your journey awesome. So here we go. So I'm an intuitive coach, and I use my intuition to coach people, and I use oracle cards in sessions to help bring forward information from the divine to help get them clear on where they want to go in their journey. So this card, time to move on. There are various versions of it in all my decks. Time to move on, time to move on, beginnings and endings, transformation. All of it can feel like a drag when you're really stressed out. But I'm going to give you some signs that it's time to move on to make that transition easier for you. Because many times when we are really struggling or we're fighting against something or we're trying to create something, it's because there is something that has ran its course and we're in denial about that journey ending, right? So do definitely think of it like you're on your journey. If it starts to get really difficult and things don't work out and you keep trying things and you're finding that you're struggling to get there, again, think of it like a journey. That is usually a sign that it's time to move on. And it's difficult in the moment to think that, right? You've built this thing, whatever it is. Maybe it's a business or a relationship or a life, and all of a sudden it starts to get really difficult. That is usually a sign it's time to move on. For us type A's, we think of it as a sign to double down. I'm going to do better. I'm going to launch something else. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to read more books. I'm going to heal myself. All of that is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love that work. That is what I do for a living. But why are you doing it? Are you doing it out of fear? Because something is trying to change and transform and be reinvented, and you're holding on to the old because you're afraid of the new. I understand that can be really uncomfortable, and it can be you can feel like you can't see it in the moment, right? You're just like, no, I'm going to work harder. Okay, that didn't work. Let's work harder. Let's get it going, right? And I'm not trying to minimize that in any way, shape, or form. I understand where you are. But usually, my friend, it is a time to move on. And so if you can step out of the stress and you can move into a place of peace, whatever it takes, maybe you need to go on a trip. Maybe you need to go and visit somebody. Maybe get out of your environment is the message my spirit guides are giving me in this moment. Get out of the environment. And I know when you're in that, you're thinking, Amy, I can't take a vacation right now. I can't go anywhere. I got to get this thing done. I hear you. I hear you. I was going to say girl, but I'm guessing some men are watching this too. I know how you feel. But that resistance to change is what is keeping you in this arduous, uncomfortable journey. And so if you really want to bring in some lightness, so this is how I want you to kind of lull the goblin within you to sleep, as Colette Baron Reid would say. Tell yourself the answer will come through if I can just get away from this for a bit. Now, we're not running from anything. No, do not run. Do not ignore. Do not put your head in the sand. That is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about getting out of the situation for a moment, stepping away. Maybe it's going for coffee with a friend. For some people, it might be you got to go on vacation somewhere. It's kind of that eat, pray, love type situation, right? Whatever it is, when it's time for a transition and you are not acknowledging it and you feel like you're working so hard to maintain what you have, it usually means you need to get out of your environment for a bit so you can see clearly. And sometimes it needs to be a dramatic get out of the environment. For some, again, it might be walk down the street and, I used to live in Oakland by the lake there, and I would go and sit at the lake. That wasn't enough for me to see it. It only stressed me out more. So you go get somewhere where you can feel the lightness, right? And you'll know. I just went through a period of time where I was denying my transformation, denying where spirit was leading me. And it was blocking all of my manifestations. Everything, nothing, everything came to a halt. And I couldn't figure it out. And I would, I'd go out with friends or I'd go and visit the man I was seeing, and it wasn't enough. Like it would just, it wasn't enough to get me light, right? And so I actually had to physically get out of the Bay Area to really be able to see it clearly. So when it's time to move on, know it's uncomfortable and know that you might be doubling down and working harder. And that's your type A coming forward saying, like, hey, I can make this happen. Yes, you can, but you don't need to work that hard. And you probably can't make it happen in that situation because it is no longer right for you. And change is not bad, it's a part of the journey. And the more we can be accepting of that, hey, these are the signs of change. It starts to feel tough and difficult, and nothing seems to be working out. And everything is just, I feel like I'm grinding, and nothing's being returned. And maybe you've done your self work. Maybe you've listened to these other videos and you're like, okay, I'm working through my stuff. I'm releasing negative beliefs. I'm doing my affirmations. You might be doing everything you possibly can to produce a result. And if nothing is happening, my friend, it is time to move on. And it can be difficult to know what that change is. I know for me, when I was in my space like this, everybody kept saying, well, you just need to do something differently. And I'm like, I'll wake up and think about what can I do differently to produce the result I want. I didn't see that the change was very different than what was going on. So I want to encourage you to be so kind and compassionate to yourself when it's time to move on. It's not a bad thing. You have not made a mistake. God is still on your side. It just might be time for evolution. So a new part of you can emerge. Because I can tell you this, once I got out of the area and I allowed this new thing to happen, wow, I'm a whole new Amy. And it's fantastic. And you can have that same renewal if you will accept when it's time to move on. And the journey it can be kind of messy if we're fighting it, and let it be messy and know that all things will be resolved in divine perfect timing and for the highest and greatest good. And you are a person of light, and you're broadcasting this signal of light, and you live in a constant state of reverence and gratitude. So even if things are not working out for you, spirit totally has your back, and you've put so much energy out that is light and joyful and amazing, that even if that life is not going the way you want it in a particular area right now, you can still be blessed and see yourself as this being of light who is having a human experience. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to trust the universe and pay attention to the signs and do what you're called to do. And you will see that life gets easier and easier for you. Till next time, take care of yourself.